The intro, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, Benji. I said on the last
If
show.
we win the Europa League, I'll do the intro.
I want you to do some of your pasta talk, man. Just a bit positivity and that. You know what I'm saying? There. Bless the people. Anyways, boys and girls, we are back with another podcast. As always, make sure you drop a like, subscribe. We're trying to get to 500. We're growing slowly, but we appreciate all the support. We've already got a comment here from Benji's burner account. Benji's back. Jeez, man, don't mess about.
Hey. Bang your doors.
Yes. Look at that.
Oh,
Man's got
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a change and all that good stuff. We are joined by the boys, Benji, Kish, and Jack. How are we doing, lads?
All good, man.
I'm good.
What about you, Usmaan? Good?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. It's the first person ever asked me that, so I appreciate that. I'm just...
Yeah, man.
It's
your show, man. It's your show, man.
Yeah, yes. Obviously, someone's going to care about me and that. But listen, let's get straight into it. Manchester United progressing into the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Unbelievable performance, lads, from yesterday's team. Obviously, Ollie changed practically everybody, bar I think it might have just been Maguire, if I'm not mistaken. Look, Jack, we'll start with you first and foremost. Regarding yesterday's game, obviously it was a dead game, I'm not going to lie, but what were your thoughts on the team selection? Were you surprised by anything, or do you think it was what you expected?
Are you asking me? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Jack. Yeah, sorry. I genuinely thought you got out. Then I was
Jack, man.
Yeah, I was the only one Jack here, if I'm mistaken. Yeah, Jack, what do you reckon about yesterday's performance, mate, and just team selection?
I mean, obviously it was a decent performance. We won, so at the end of the day, it's not something that we should be particularly worried about because obviously we were 5-0 up. But I think the lineup that he put out, of course, he was never going to play anyone, any of the big boys, apart from Maguire, because he doesn't seem to drop him. But I think it sort of highlights the issue that we have in terms of our lack of squad depth. Obviously, you can't fault the first team at the minute because of since Bruno's been here, we've got 32 points, which is more than Liverpool. But I sort of think that highlights our second team and how, especially with the season only starting 3 weeks after the Europa League final, the sort of issues we may come into if players start getting injured, the sort of lack of squad depth that we have. Because we know how uncreative a front three of Mata, Lingard, James, or even Andreas, we know how uncreative they are as a three. And Aguilar's a goal scorer, but he's not going to score if you don't produce for him. It just highlights the weaknesses in that point, but that's up to make the decision.
Yeah, well, obviously you've quite clearly talked about the lack of squad depth. First and foremost, just want to give a shout out to Jay Lings, man, bagging 2 and 2. Messi's never scored against Lasso. That's all I'm saying. Kish, we'll come to you next. So obviously, first and foremost, Maguire played again, which to me was a bit of a disappointment. I've got to be honest. I was a bit disappointed with Ali there. I thought he was going to be a bit more ambitious and potentially give Mengi a full start, or at least start him. You know what I mean? We're 5-0 up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was surprising to me as well. He played every single minute of every game, if I'm not mistaken. So he deserves a rest. He needs a rest. He looked leggy as well in the previous game. He's looked laggy for a couple of games, isn't it? For about 4 or 5 games now, he's looked a bit laggy. So he definitely needed a rest. Don't know why we didn't do that. Totally agree with you. We should have given Tenny his debut. Rather than giving him, what did we give him? Like 10 minutes or something?
Yeah, I think it was like 8 minutes in the end because the ball didn't go out play for so long.
Like that, right? Yeah, he should have played the whole game. And I don't think he would have done too badly as well, because you got Baye next to him. He was okay yesterday. Baye wasn't too bad. He had some heart-stopping moments. He loves to do a bit of madness in the in our own half. So yeah, it was a bit of a confusing one in terms of selection. But maybe he's just thinking, I want Maguire to kind of continue and give him the whole run, basically, so he'll play all the way up to the final, if we get to the final, that is. So yeah, it was a bit surprising. But the rest of the team selection, I mean, I kind of expected that.
Yeah, so obviously you alluded to the fact that he's played practically. I think it's in the league that he's played every minute. I don't think it's in the cup competition,
Yeah.
but
No.
Yeah.
he's literally not at a rest at all. Just
No.
coming back to some of the other players, Benji, was there anyone that you felt that should have played that didn't play? We've got a comment here saying Benji smile, bro. You're allowed to smile, Benji. You're all allowed.
I think I agree with the boys. Mengi should have started off centre half. I don't know why Maguire's playing. I would have loved to see Gunn. I would have loved to see Trump from the start as well, because I feel like one of the things that Ollie's I wouldn't say messing up in, but he's kind of not allowing us to see is the
You say
youth
it, Benji. Say it. I know you wanna.
No, it's the youth. It's the youth. It's the youth. I feel like there's
Well,
certain
it's
games. There's certain
False
games where
Massive Williams.
well, it's not really youth, but there's so many.
Yes,
There's a lot of players that should have given a game yesterday, even if we lost. Because
Who do you think? Who would you
Ghana
put?
definitely should. Ghana deserves a chance, man. Chong deserves a chance, and Mendy deserves a chance. These guys have been working so hard for the under 18s, the under 23s in training. I'm hearing that they're working quite hard as well. And it's like what he's not doing is giving these guys an incentive. So it's like if you give them a chance to play in training, they'll work even harder. And everyone's talking about me a centre back with pace. If you bring in Mendy, he looks like one of the players you can bring him with a bit of pace and to play at the back instead of having to go and buy a 40, 50 million pound centre back when you could have one in your youth team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but who would you change then? Just sorry to interrupt you. So obviously you mentioned Mengi. I think that one's obviously for Maguire, of course. I agree with that. But regarding Garner and Chung, what would you change in that sense? Who would you take it off and put in?
I would have played James from the start. I think James should have came out. And also, I would not have played McTominay as well. I would have played Garner instead of McTominay. But McTominay has played quite a few games, to be fair, more than Fred. And I feel like the passing in the midfield was just lacking. We didn't have a deep line playmaker, so to speak, that can actually pass. And I think Garner has that in his game. So we lacked a lot in midfield for me personally.
Right, okay, so just before we go into that, we've got a few comments. Sebastian saying, hola, lads. Obviously, can't speak Spanish, so I'm not going to embarrass myself and say something back in Spanish. I don't know if anyone else here can.
Hola.
Hola,
yeah,
bro.
so... Oh, okay, all right, chill out. You don't need to flex on us. So Benji's... Jack, this is for you, by the way, so you know. Benji's saying that he would have not played McTominay and... I forgot. Oh, yeah, sorry. Dan James. Apologies. So firstly, for me, I think Dan James had to play. The McTominay one, I could probably understand a bit more. But, Jack, where do you sit on James and McTominay in general? Because a lot of people were giving James abuse. Obviously, I know none of us accept that. But what are your thoughts? Do you agree with Benji that they could have potentially not started? Or
I think obviously I sent stats yesterday in terms of 2020. Dan James has won 21 games and got, I think, one assist and no goal. So obviously, I suppose Ole had no other choice but to start him, because I suppose he could have given Chong a game. But then again, as Benji was saying, why for example, the likes of Maguire, why was he playing? Because he's played every minute, and you've got to think that eventually, if he plays him every game, he's going to get injured at some point.
Yeah,
and obviously. We could have do it in the Europa League when we played. I can't remember who it was. We lost 2-1.
Asana, I think it was. Please call
Connection.
Oh, connection man's bottled it. It wasn't started. Oh, he's back. He's back.
I'd have given Chong starting in front of him, just because Chong's not really been given an opportunity to have a go. So that would have been my shout. And then Chong, Mata and Lingard I'd have gone with, and brought Dan James on because he's not effective from the start. We know that. It's not his fault. I feel sorry for him. I do feel for him, but he's effective 70 minutes in, not from the start.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's an interesting point. Like for me, I hear what you're saying, Jack. The only reason I personally didn't have an issue with him starting was, firstly, going into the latter stages of the tournament, I just feel like it's more likely that James is going to get subbed on than it is Chung. So we probably do need a James that's potentially in sort of form, so to speak. Kish, what was your thoughts in terms of any of the players? Did anyone stand out to you that you think, no, they might have stated a claim to potentially, I don't want to say staying at the club and be too dramatic, but I think in a sense there is a bit of truth behind that. That some of these players might have played the last game for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that one confuses me a bit, because people are saying that some of these players have played their last game, but for them to play their last game, we need clubs that want these players, right?
Yeah.
We've got to be able to sell them to someone, right? So people are saying, "Oh, we played his last game," but I'm looking at the market right now. It's COVID's just happened. Clubs are really not in the market to buy, and if they are going to buy it, they're not going to want trash. Do you see what I mean? So I think it's going to be more of a difficult task to get rid of some of the players than we actually think. Lingard, he got subbed off too early because I thought that he was the best player on the pitch. For most of it. Well, sorry, the best player
There's
on
not many
United side,
times anyone
right?
said that. Is that? Let's be real.
Yeah, and no, there's not. But I think he played terrific yesterday. He was energetic. He was the only person that was trying to link up play and he was successful at it. He did his job basically. He did exactly what he had to do, and the people in front of him or around him let him down, right? Also Igalo played very well as well, right? He just didn't get any service. If he got better service, I think he could have had a goal or two yesterday as well. He showed as well, which is a positive, that we can try another type of football as well. So if we can't score with Martial and Rashford, and you've got 30 minutes to go, he's very good at holding up the ball, and I think he's a good finisher as well. So all he needed yesterday was a bit more service. So Igalu's definitely got a stake to maybe feature in some of the games, maybe not start, but against Copenhagen, if it is, God forbid, it's 0-0, he can come on and get a goal. And the same with Lingard, right? I wouldn't start him again, but I think there is a place for him at about 70, 80 minutes. Because people forget he's got experience. He may not be this wonderful player, but he's got experience. He wants to play for the club, and he can do a job basically, can't he? So those two players. But the rest of them, sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, I do agree with what you said. To be fair, I actually said in the preview and got massively ridiculed that we probably should keep Lingard, just because the other players probably deserve to go prior to Lingard. Not saying that he deserves, like, to say he's been fantastic or nothing. We know he hasn't, but I just think he offers more than what Massa and Pereira could do. That's just me. I'll pass it on to you, Benji. We've got a few comments here regarding Lingard, so I'll throw them both at you. First one's obviously United way saying Lingard looked like it was his last game. I suppose there might be truth in that again, depending on anyone wants. But I think he will be someone that people will be interested in. And we've got another question here from Man United Focus, also Wasim. The thing is, if we sign Sancho and Grealish, Lingard and James, what do you make the bench? Suppose that's a very valid point, isn't it? Realistically speaking, Benji. Do you think there's any of those players that would be looking yesterday, today, and thinking, you know what, that was my last game for the year, or do you think we've been a bit too harsh?
Yeah, I think people are forcing a bit too much. And then these are the ones that had to help us at the beginning of the season. But McTominay apparently among the fan base was world class. Fred was player of the season. So I feel like, and obviously Barry's supposed to be better than Lindelof as well. So I feel like a lot of them are being a bit too over the top. But I feel like, I know this is going to sound very, very controversial as usual, but I'm going with this already. I feel as if like the way we play football, and the tactics and the style of play, is just freestyle from start to finish. Like, because I remember when we had Van Gaal, the first team, the under 21s and under 18, they all played the same. No matter, even when we played against MK Dons and even though we got banged 4-0, whatever, we all still played the same. When it comes
Benji, sorry to interrupt you. When we lost to MK Dons 4-0, were you blaming Oli then as well, or was that Van Gaal's fault?
No. I'm trying to make a point. So everyone's saying let's sign this player, let's sign that player. No, we have to focus on the ones we have and try to even make them better. One of the things that I feel like we're not doing is that the first team, the under 23s, the under 18s, they all don't play the same. They all play differently. So even if someone steps into the first team, they're not playing the same as in the under 23s. So it gets confusing for them, and it's also a bit unfair for them as well. And a lot of the players, I feel some of them were thrown under the bus. That's me personally, anyway.
Yeah, okay, that's an interesting point. Obviously, you put it onto Ali. Yeah, so first and foremost, obviously, I was doing the watch along with Adam yesterday, and I noticed he was really pissed off with Oli. Like, for me personally, right, and I've just done a show with Kojo as well prior to this, and Kojo said it perfectly for me. He said, the system, okay, granted, the formation was the same. Some things were probably not as good as what you would expect from a United team. But and the point I'm trying to make is, when are the players held accountable for their inabilities to actually do something? Like, okay, for argument's sake, it's Lask at home. Do I need to tell Lingard? Well, I don't use Lingard as example because he's actually good. But do I need to tell certain players to play 1-2s, or they should be able to play? They should be able to control the game. I'm not saying that he shouldn't set him up tactically. Of course, he should. But against Lask at home, players are all international players. They're playing for Manchester United. They should be able to use their own initiative and make 5-yard passes. There was how many times in that first game that, for the first half, that we were just passing the ball away cheaply, and I just thought, you was one of the people in the comments saying, Ollie's at the wheel and obviously taking the piss away. But I just think if I was one of those players who played yesterday and I was putting that performance, I wouldn't be looking at my manager. I'd be looking at myself thinking, what the fuck am I doing here?
That's what I agree. Sorry to cut you off, but I agree with what you're saying. A lot of the players do need to take responsibility. So, for example, we need tactics against Lask per se, but a lot of them. That's the thing is with Manchester United. I say it all the time. We don't have players that want to challenge to get into the first team. So, for example, if you look at the game yesterday, not one of them, even Maguire should even be sat for the first team. Not one of them showed why they should be in the first team. Brandon Williams, no. Coach Manson, no. You go all the way through the team, and that's the problem with the club. So that's one thing I can also say that obviously Ollie needs to get back and whatever. But I just feel as if, like, where I do feel sorry for him is that he doesn't have nothing underneath the first team to even in training, you can probably even see it. Pogba, let's say, for example, do the run though, Pogba, Bruno, Matic, and all of the top stars come in. Then Pereira and Lingard come and join the run though. It's going to become slower because the standard of football is not the same. Do you get me? So I feel sorry in that regard, but at the same time, I still take it back to tactics. I'm not
I hear your point.
But it's 50-50, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? It's 50-50.
Yeah. Well, there's a few people in the comments agreeing with you. Man United Focus, well, there's one person agreeing with me, same person agreeing with you and me. I don't know how that's possible. But it's what Benji is right. Our build-up is horrific. We can't beat the press when we hit it long. We lack a styling system. I suppose that's what you're basically alluding to in it. And I feel like you've said that consistently. So in that sense, I respect you to sticking to what you're saying. But before I get you in, Jack, because obviously I know Kish has probably got a complete opposite opinion. Kish, I'll throw that to you. What are your thoughts on what Benji said there? Do you agree with him, or do you think it's down to the players sometimes as well? They need to be held accountable, and they're just not good enough. Some of them.
All right. No, let me start with what I agree with him. I agree with him in the sense where the second string players are definitely a level below our first team, right? So I agree with that point. I don't agree with the we haven't got a style of play. So for example, right? Okay. So for example, City, they play tiki-taka football, right? I think Ollie personally has set us up now, right? Or he's trying to set us up, okay, to be able to penetrate in different ways, right? So we have options, okay, not very good ones at the moment, but we have options if we want our left back and right back to attack, right? We can go down the middle, okay, and I think that's based on the opposition that we play. Now, if you look at Sir Alex Ferguson, right, did he have style of play? Okay, you could call it counter-attacking football, whatever you want to call it. But in my opinion, when I think of Sir Alex Ferguson, I think of him setting his team up to beat the opposition in front of him. Maybe he didn't have so I don't understand what this whole style of play nonsense is. Honestly, I think it's nonsense. Like we penetrate teams in various different ways now, right? We can go with our fullbacks. We can go down the middle. So I don't understand what the problem is.
Our fullback.
Well, okay, so
listen, we'll get on to our fullback story, mate.
I did say it's not
By the way,
where
Kish,
we want
just
it to be at the
quickly,
moment.
Can I just say
Right?
something quickly?
It's
You know
Go on.
the girl that keeps messaging you is making your notifications come up. So your sound goes down and comes up at the same time. So you might have to turn it off. But
All right, okay.
oh, okay.
Right, okay, I didn't even see that. To
I
be
don't
fair, I
do
can
that.
hear the sound, but right, if you go into
Okay.
settings and click notification, okay, right, just to add to what Kish is saying while he's sorting that out, right? Got a comment here again from the United Way. I'm not gonna read that; it's quite long. But what I just want to ask this to you, Jack, while Kish is just sorting that out, is there a case, right? Okay, is there a case? That's the play. There was a style of play, so to speak, just hypothetical. But the players that were on the pitch yesterday, Kish is fine for me, anyways. And obviously, the masculine, I didn't see nothing.
Yeah, obviously.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So, is there a case to say that the players that some of the other players in the squad, like I don't know, Pereira, for example, or maybe Fred McTominay,
Yeah, they're
whatever it
just
may
not.
be, whoever you want to use, they just can't execute what Ollie's trying to do. Because,
Yeah,
like,
they're just not good
and I'll
enough.
give you, and
Yeah.
I'll give you another example. Pep Guardiola spent almost 400 million on his defense alone, and there's still people are still saying he still needs defenders. If he's such a good coach, why can't he coach his players to defend? I tell you why, because some players are just
Yeah.
not good enough. So that's the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I agree.
I hear what you're saying, Benji, about style of play, and I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. But sometimes in my head, I'm thinking, well, Lingard, if you take Lingard out and put Bruno in, with all due respect to Lingard, if you take Lingard out and put Bruno in, is Bruno going to be able to execute a 1-2 more efficiently than Lingard week in, week out? Of course he is. He's a more technically gifted player and he's more set to, bring out a style of play. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? If you take him out and put Lingard in and try to do the same thing, it doesn't work. You see, we saw when Marcel
It
came
doesn't
on,
work. Yeah.
man hits a 1-2 straight away and scored. Like, it was
Boom.
easy for him because he's got the ability. So I'll come back to you, Jack. Do you think there's a case for that, or do you agree with what Benji's saying? I want to use the word identity. There's not an identity there.
Yeah, no, I can kind of see both sides. Obviously, it would be the case with any team.
So Sahil's point in the chat is because Pep's a fraud.
Just you come on the thing, bro.
He's a fraud, man. He's a fraud.
Go on, Jack. Sorry, I apologize.
I was saying basically the way would it be with it's the way it is with any team. Maybe arguably apart from City because their team's stacked. If you try and implement a style with the second team, it never will work. It's the same with any other team like City and Arsenal. They play their second team. There is no style, so it is more of a free for all. Whether or not Ole has a style or an attacking, a style or a coaching way with the first team, I'm not entirely sure because it's always a bit. It all depends on the opposition. Against the top 8, we seem to do fantastically, and there seems to be a style. But the bottom 14, like the stats going around that with the most points against the top 6 or top 7, right? Fine, but 12 out of the 14 bottom team took points off us. So I'm not entirely sure if he has a coaching style against the bottom teams because they sit back.
Sorry, is that down to our style of play?
Jack disconnected again.
Wait, is what down to the style?
I really want to know. So he just said, right? He said we lost X amount against the bottom teams, right? Is that down to our style of play? That's what I'm asking.
For sure. You're telling me we can't beat Burnley at home.
You got Jack.
Listen, I personally think we got 3 styles of play.
I think that's a lack of quality.
Counter-attacking football.
So what are the styles
we can go on the wing and we can go straight down the middle.
Educate me. What are the styles?
Yeah, but the thing, as you were saying about Fergie, obviously Fergie had different ways to deal with different teams, and
exactly.
It seems that Ole,
yeah.
Well, look, Ole has a way of dealing with the top 7. I agree, and then below that, whenever we play against, let's say, 9th and below, it's always more of a. It's almost like going into Chelsea or Arsenal or City at home. It's almost like, oh yeah, we're guaranteed to win because he seems to know what he's doing. But the problem is, they're only 6 out of the 20 teams. The other 12, we seem to just sort of, struggle. But sometimes it's very all over the place. Maybe give him, maybe next season he might have a way to win both. I don't know. Maybe.
Right. Okay. So I'm just going to come back to that comment that you've made. Again, there's a few different opinions in the chat, which is good to see. Obviously, everyone's entitled to their opinion. So first and foremost, Sahil's put lack of quality. So he kind of agrees with what me and Kish have said in terms of against the lower block teams, you need those players to be able to pick the lock, so to speak. And it's quite evident that Pereira and Lingard, and Dan James for that matter, with all the qualities that they do have, they don't possess the ability to pick that lock. So in that sense, you could have the best coach in the world. If you haven't got a player that it's not in their DNA to play that final ball, that they need a pass, they just haven't got it in their locker. You can't teach them that. It's just something that they need to have. I know, Ben, you 1 second, and I'll come to you. Izzy, on the other hand, is agreeing with what Jack and Benji are saying. Saying that football has evolved, we don't have an identity, basically, or now you need an identity. He's also put earlier that he understands what I'm coming from, but he still doesn't feel that is an identity. Benji, I'll come to you, mate. Obviously, you've heard from all the guys here, including myself. What do you reckon? Why do you think we struggle against the bottom six, as Jack said? Do you think that is down to the lack of tactics, identity, philosophy, or do you hear what I'm saying and put that down to lack of quality prior to Bruno's arrival?
I think it's both.
Yeah,
Obviously, playing the game myself. I think it's both. But I feel like, do you know what it is with some of these Man United fans? Like, I saw Was in the comments. Buy Van der Beek 40 million, this person 50 million. Just because you buy a player and bring them into the team doesn't mean that we're going to start playing amazingly brilliant football and breaking and unlocking every single team. It does not.
Well, Bruno will disagree with that, but carry on.
No, but look, Bruno.
I'm binding you up, but
the Bruno Fernandes will come up in a second. But just because you buy someone doesn't mean it's going to work. At the end of the day, something that we have to do as Manchester United Football Club, something that Fergie done so well, was he used his whole squad. And the squad of 24, 25 has to be good enough to compete. Okay, Darren Fletcher is like a McTominay, but if you put McTominay in that team into our first team instead of Matic, he's not going to do what a Darren Fletcher can do. Do you get me? And I don't think it's to do with quality and whatnot. I feel like if you have a basic system and you put players in it helps. Like, look at Liverpool under 23. They beat Everton easily with a bunch of kids. That's because they all do what they're doing. They all have a style of play. They all have whatever. But at the same time, the quality, you can't tell me one match doesn't have quality. World Cup,
I can't.
Twice. So what now? Like, one matter, apart from...
Yeah, but that's one player, though. No, that's one player.
No, but against last, you only really need one or two players to really...
Well, we saw that in the second half. Then what do you credit the second half performance to? Because in the second half, and also just to add, we weren't actually poor in breaking them down. It was literally the final pass. If you actually watch the game back again, there was I can name you 2 occasions. Dan James in the first half. Sorry, whoever's got notifications, just mute your mic. I think it's you, Kish. And also Fosu Mensah as well.
That's what I mean.
It doesn't matter.
Lack of quality is alarming, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Lack of quality. Like, for example, the Brandon Williams when he darted it down the left hand side. If he was a left-footed fullback, he would have just ran down all the way down. Remember that chance? Instead of crossing, he would have shot himself.
Yeah, Benji, I got a question. It's from Sahel, so obviously I'm going to ask it. So he's put, if it's not down to lack of quality, but I'll obviously add a bit to it. If it's not down to lack of quality and it's down to tactics, why is Pep spent so much and why is he continuing to spend so much? Like I said earlier, why can't he just coach the defenders, so to speak?
Oh, just brother, listen. Let me explain something to you so you can understand. People talk about Pep when it comes to money and whatnot. Money doesn't... You can buy a player...
No, I'm on about tactics. I'm not on about the money. I'm on about why is he buying more players?
You can buy a player, but it doesn't mean that the player's going to bang. At the end of the day, we have to understand something. We can never talk about Man City because they've won 10 out of the last 13 competitions available in this country. Pep has had this league on strings for the past 3 seasons. At the end of the day, the guy won the Premier League with a DM playing centre-back. Let's be really, really serious here. Like, Fernandinho played centre-back. They had a lot of injuries at centre-back. That's what it is. I feel like...
Did they? When they won the title?
Yeah, when they won the title.
I'm sure Fernandinho was... I might be wrong. I'm sure he played CDM.
Last season. So
when he won the title, he was playing CDM. I'm sure
when Company was injured, he played
CDM. Yeah, Company... Oh, go on. Sorry, I apologize. Go on, Karen.
So when people talk about Pep and whatnot, at the end of the day, when it comes to defending, of course you're not going to be able to defend when you're playing so open. The fullback bomb up and whatever happens, that's nothing to do with Man United. But you need to have basic players for the system, but also you need people that can actually play the system. And when that's
the point I'm making though. But that's what I've been saying, and that's what I'm going to say to the people in the comments, because a lot of people don't understand what me and Kish are trying to say. Like, let me give you an example, right? Right, just say Klopp, for example. We'll forget Man City. Let's talk about Klopp. Obviously, we know about Klopp and his gegenpress. We know that he needs players to play the gegenpress. Let's take them front three out, right? Obviously, I know they're so influential, but let's take the front three out. Put three players up front. In fact, forget the front three. Actually, let's take their midfield out and put three different players in the midfield that don't provide the same amount of energy, combativeness, etc. That well-oiled machine doesn't function in the same manner because this is what I'm saying is. I hear what you're saying about system and all the tactics stuff, but football is like a machine. You need certain players like a James Milner to do a certain role and do it so it's effective. It's like having a missing piece in the cog. If you take that missing piece out, the whole machine just doesn't work the same way. And I agree with what you're saying. You should be able to replace the ones like Man City does. You take David Silva out and put Bernardo in, and it's like the same cog goes into that machine, and there's no difference in the style of play. But that's because of the quality. You take Bruno and Pogba out, boys. Come on, man. You take Bruno and Pogba out, you put Lingard in, or you put Fred, and you're telling me the machine's going to be the exact same.
I propose to you.
Come on.
I love your passion. I love your drive. I love everything you do. But I propose this question to you. Yeah, Liverpool beat Barcelona 4-0 with a front three of Mane, Shaqiri, and bloody Origi. You cannot tell me that tactics play a lot when it comes to football. Liverpool, Mane.
Yeah, but we beat Man City with Fred and McTominay though 3 times.
But hang on. What tactics do you need when you're first of all chasing a 4-0 loss? So what, they were 4-0 down. What did Jurgen Klopp probably say to them? Go get him. Realistically. And look. Right, one thing, right, about this whole style of play nonsense, right? There is, in my eyes, right, in the league, there is only a couple of teams where you can look at them and say, right, that is their style of play.
Exactly.
Like, for example,
you're comparing
Man
us to the best teams in the world.
And also Man City, you can look at their football and say, yeah, okay, that is a style of play, and they only play one way. But there's a lot of teams out there that play in 2 or 3 different ways, right? And if you said to me what I want exactly what Ollie's doing right now. He's setting us up. It's not in motion yet because we haven't got the quality to do it at the moment. And hopefully with signings we'll be able to do it, right? But he's setting us up to hang on. He's setting us up to be able to be strong in many different ways. So for example, right, people call us a counter-attacking team. Yeah, we're a counter-attacking team because on the counter-attack we're deadly, right? But I could also say when we play through the middle and you give the ball to Pogba and Bruno, we can we can split a team apart straight down the middle, just like a Kevin De Bruyne does. So we've got 2 or 3 different styles of play. So and I think all we need is time. Because what I'm seeing from Ollie right now is in the big games, hear me out, right? In the big games, he sets us up to be able to beat that team. Right, so whatever it may be, PSG, for example, last year, he set us up with what? Fred. So you want to talk about Liverpool with Origi, Ollie with a midfield of Scott, Fred, beat PSG. Right,
we beat Man City as well with that team as well. Forget the PSG.
It's a one-off game.
No, but the thing is, I get what you're saying. But Manchester United fans, yeah. So all of a sudden, okay, so if we bring in Sancho, Grealish, Van der Beek, and let's say for argument's sake, Koulibaly, does that automatically mean that Ollie will have no excuses for next season?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Then Ed Woodward better bring in these players.
No, if he signs those players, right, and then we still play this shit football when the first team is playing, I will be on your side of the fence. Yeah. I'm not going to bullshit it. It's not about Ollie. It's about what I'm seeing. I don't have any agendas.
We're going to win the league.
Bro, I want to win the league. I don't give a shit who wins the league. Listen,
if we sign Koulibaly, we'd win the league.
One second. Marius just put a comment.
If we sign Koulibaly,
one second. I know he's a neutral. All right, so he's put the biggest problem is you guys are comparing teams with footballing philosophy when United doesn't have one yet. Listen, the point what he said then, what I will add to that is basically we're comparing ourselves to the best teams in the world, man. You've said Liverpool, you've said Man City, or you could chuck Bayern Munich in there, so forth. Yeah, they're the best teams in the world. Let's be real in it currently as it stands. And yes, we should aspire to beat them but it's going to take time. Ollie's only been there for one whole season, one full season. That's it. You can't expect him to do everything. He's come third. But the thing is, you can't play fantastic football. You can't have a squad that everyone's brilliant, like you said with what's his name, Sir Alex Ferguson. Things take time. You need to give him that time as well until he proves that he isn't capable. I was gonna bring Jack in because obviously Jack's probably like Wagwan. Listen, let's talk about transfers because, like I said at the start, my battery is very low, so obviously we need to be as thorough as we possibly can. So let's talk transfers. Let's talk about players that might come in and make a difference, or players that you think are potentially on their way in. In fact, Jack, I'll just throw that to you. Who do you think we need to make a difference, and do you think any of them are going to come, like Sancho, for example? Do you think that's a possibility?
I mean, we all know that the starting 11 has been fantastic this season, but the weak point being, well, not the weak point until Greenwood came in, but the weak point was, the right wing at Dan James. If we can get Sancho in, then that sorts that. But at the same time, I wouldn't say we need a replacement for Matic because he's still only 31, but I don't think Fred and Scott...
He's 32.
32, yes. Yeah, so Fred and Scott can't cut out what he does, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
And then there's the talks of us signing Telas from Porto. And I mean, I would take that 100%. I would never say
those rumours are false, by the way. Romano's come out and said the false.
Well, I didn't think we go for a left back anyway because we have two anyway. And obviously, I suppose the options you'd be looking for are a centre back, a right winger, and maybe a replacement for Ighalo come January because obviously he's leaving in January. And then maybe last option would be to stick for someone in midfield because obviously if we got Van der Beek, I wouldn't exactly be complaining, but do I see it happening? No, not really. I don't know. It depends. I don't know. It just depends on Ed, doesn't it? Or people say Ed doesn't do anything.
Ed's not going to pull his finger out and sign players.
Jack, I have a question for you, mate, quickly.
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
You know how obviously you were saying we should sign a new DM? Well, before the lockdown, and obviously we beat all the top teams with Scott and Fred in midfield. Why would we need another DM if they could do all of that stuff against PSG and the likes of Man City? Just to support Kish.
Thank you. I have my 2 pence in a second. Go on, Jack.
I don't know. I don't think that's the priority. I think two would. I mean, I say two's enough. It's not really. We need, obviously, Sancho would sort out right wing, and we need another centre back to match Maguire. But then if you're going to go for a third position, then where do you go for? I'm not saying we will sign him. I don't think we need anyone, but I don't know. If you're thinking about how a lack of squad depth we have, then what's that third position you go for then? After centre back and right wing.
Well, let's pass that to Kish then. Kish, what do you think before we go to you, Benji?
First of all, let me just address Benji's point, right? I would keep Fred, right? Because you said it yourself, 100%. Benji. He's done jobs in all those games that you just listed, and I think there were about 6, 7 big games.
Who said he's not good enough?
I didn't say he's not good enough. I would love to keep Fred on our team. I think he could improve and he'd be a good squad player. There'd be some people I'd get rid of. I'd keep Scott McTominay. I would actually keep Scott McTominay, but maybe not play him in a CDM role, play him in his favoured role, which is a box-to-box midfielder. See how he does there. In terms of signings, though, I would definitely want a centre-back, a ball-playing centre-back left-footed, right? Because I think that would be brilliant. I think we're okay in fullbacks. Yeah, I think, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's not the best going forward.
Okay in fullback.
No. Listen, he's not the best going forward, but I think he will improve in that aspect, and I think Luke Shaw can improve. And yeah, I'd get a striker to replace Ighalo. I'd get if he doesn't stay. That is, if he stays for some I don't know if that could happen.
Isn't it?
If he does end up,
yeah.
If we can extend that somehow, then I would also buy another centre mid as well, a quality one.
Okay, so quite a lot. Right, listen, Benji. Before you say something regarding the fullbacks, right, lads, I've got to say, I think we had Marcelo playing for us yesterday for 20 minutes. We had Marcelo playing for us yesterday for 20 minutes, Benji. What do you reckon? Has Chung got a future at left back, or is it just last boys? Relax, man.
Nah. He needs to stay at the wing. Fullback against the top side, he's gonna get clamped. So She had a wing, mate.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, to be fair, obviously, I'm just throwing it out there as a bit of banter, but I was happy to see.
Do you know what this shows? You know what this shows? Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go on.
You know what this shows? It shows our lack of dynamism in the fullback area.
I knew you were gonna say that because when go on, sorry.
Look at the difference. The guy comes on, he runs into space. Old Trafford is big. When Shaw gets the ball, he runs for like 2 seconds.
Shaw wasn't playing, mate. Williams was playing.
I'm just saying, you stop, turn around, and pass the ball back. We need players like Robertson, Grimaldo, Alaba, Davies, sprinting down the line, bro. Everybody stop. Shaw is not that guy.
Listen, Shaw. Who's Mike is that? Who's getting text? Who's popular in this thing?
It's not me. It's actually not me.
Yeah, it's not me, is it? But yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. I'm not gonna lie. I do think Shaw needs to improve. I thought, to be fair, prior to his injury, he was actually getting better. I think we have missed him. I think, but regarding Chong, I just want to say Williams did the exact same thing when he played his first few games as well. So let's not get carried away. I'm just throwing that as a bit of banter. Yeah, just to finish off. Obviously, the Europa League was yesterday, but we've got a game against Copenhagen coming up. Boys, what are your thoughts? How are you feeling? Obviously, I know it's not a preview. That will be on Saturday, but just a quick one just to finish off. Jack, we'll come with you first. Do you think the Europa League is something that we should go for? Do you think we've got capabilities of winning it? And what are your thoughts in general against Copenhagen?
Yeah, no, of course. You can't really argue with a European trophy, can you? You never say no to it. And maybe if we win it, it's an opportunity for the board to, I suppose, maybe back any extra transfers, because obviously we're all talking here about what position should be signed. Obviously, the wing back, left back and right back, we're stacked in those positions. So of course the board are never going to support him in going for someone. But if we win, obviously we talked about in this entire thing how we have a lack of squad depth, and assume that maybe if we win it, we might back him.
Yeah,
but obviously it's a trophy at the end of the day. So, like, you suppose you can't really complain if we win it, and we should.
He's like that again. Marin said you don't have a choice. You should go for the Europa. Yeah, just while Jack's reconnecting, Kish, will come to you. Obviously, I agree with Jack with what you said. I think it's a trophy. We should go for it. And I've got one last question for you, Benji, to finish off the show. But Kish, what are your thoughts going into this game? Are you confident? And also, like Jack already said, we should really go for it. Do you feel the same sentiment, or you have different thoughts on it?
No, yeah, absolutely. We have to go for it because at the end of the day, if you want to build a winning culture, which Oli is obviously trying to do, you have to win stuff, and you got to get the players used to winning as well. So definitely need to push on. Copenhagen, we can't take lightly as well. We need to make sure that we actually do a job on them, and we're fully focused. And because at the end of the day, it's still one game, isn't it? So anything can happen. So we need to bring our A game and make sure we just dispatch them as quickly as possible. And Romero needs to play. He needs to start for every single game for the remainder of the Europa League, because that guy yesterday I saw him. His positional awareness in his own box is miles better than De Gea. There were some times, right, where the ball was, let's say 10 yards away from the goal, 8 yards away from the goal, and he's there, ready to take the ball. I'm thinking De Gea would not be there. He would not be there. Yeah, so definitely got to play Romero throughout. But yeah, man, hopefully we do a job with him.
Yeah, Benji, just regarding the Europa League to finish, and then obviously, like, I've got the last question, but I suppose Olive can answer it. Do you think we've got, obviously Lukaku and I believe Eriksen got Inter Milan through. Do you think there's still a strong chance we're favourites for the competition? Obviously, not to oversee Copenhagen, but do you still think we should be winning this competition, or would you class that as a failure if we didn't, or what are your thoughts?
If we don't win it, boy, I'm going to have a massive meltdown, because obviously Ollie says we need to win trophies. It's in our DNA, so I want to see exactly what he's talking about. But I think, one thing I want to say? I don't think we should. The thing is with Man United fans, we're all walking around as if we're going to win the game. It's not guaranteed. I said to people in the group chat, don't take last night. They're going to come and try and do a madness. We could have been in for a shot. Obviously, we could have lost 5-0, but you never know what's going to happen in football. Don't think that Copenhagen are going to lie down for us. No, they're not. They're gonna come up
No,
and try
no,
and
no.
press us high. It's a one-off game, so we have to come and play proper. If we don't come and play proper, we can be stuck in the mud. And next week Monday, if we lose to Copenhagen, boy.
Yeah, let's not worry about the negatives. Obviously, we're here for positive. Lads, to finish off, just to add to that, Benji, I do agree. It's important that we're not complacent as fans and obviously the players, because they look good against Istanbul as well. I know they're not the greatest team,
Inter Milan to do as well.
they dispatched them with these. All right, last question from Shivam, who is on the WhatsApp group. We'll come to you, Benji, first and foremost. The question is, has Ollie overachieved this season? For me personally, I thought we were going to finish 5th or 6th when we did sign Bruno. In summer, I thought the squad wasn't good enough to get top 4. Obviously, other factors allowed us to achieve top 4. Not maybe to our brilliance, but some of the detriment of other clubs. So other clubs are a bit poor, which definitely helped us. But no, in fact, Jack, we'll come to you first. Do you think Ollie has overachieved? If not, why? Why hasn't he? Sorry.
I wouldn't say he's overachieved. The goal for the season was obviously to get top 4 Champions League football, because if we want to build on anything we actually have on our team, then the only way it would be possible would be via the Champions League. So I wouldn't say he's overachieved. I say he's done his job. The job, it was always top 4. We were never going to win the league, let's be honest, because obviously, we don't have the team, as we discussed several times. We don't have the team for it. But he's done it. He's done the job. I wouldn't say he's overachieved or underachieved, really. I'd say he's done what was set out from the beginning. So fair enough to him, I guess.
Fair enough. Kish, same question for you, mate. Do you think Ollie's overachieved, or do you think he's just done his job, as Jack said?
Yeah, I think he's done his job, to be fair. He's definitely not overachieved. He's done out probably exactly what he himself set out to do at the start of the year, which was get us Champions League. And to be fair, he's probably he's done really well. We got 3rd, so he's done exactly what he set out to do. And I think saying that he overachieved kind of undermines him a bit, because he's done a good job, man. Like he's come into a club where it was so toxic. We had Mourinho, the fans were hating him. It wasn't a good. Old Trafford and Man United wasn't a good place when Mourinho was there. And I think fans also definitely got to remember that, man. And never forget that. And he's come and he's changed things around, and he's got rid of all the nonsense players and the players that don't want to play for United. And I'm sure more are going to go out that door as well. And once we get some players that want to play for the badge, then I think he's just going to do better and better, man.
Bro, to be fair, I love that little good luck to him. That was very cute. to be fair, I agree with what both Kish and Jack said. I don't think he's overachieved. I don't think you can say that unless you win a trophy. So Benji, I'll shut down to you and make it fairly short, because my battery's on about 9%. So if we were to win the Europa League as well as coming 3rd, would you then say he's overachieved, or would you still think he's just done his job and done what you'd expect, basically?
Nah, if he was a trophy, fair dues to the guy. Obviously, he's done very well with the squad that he's had. But obviously, I predicted 3rd place at the beginning of the season. We're very fortunate that a lot of our teams bottled it as well, because it could have been even worse. But
Marin said that as well.
Yeah, if he was a trophy on top of it, he'll get an A for me for the season. At the moment, he's on a C, but if he wins a trophy, he goes up to an A. So I can't really discredit him.
Wow, an A from Benji, and you're still not smiling. What does it need to do for you to smile?
No, I don't not like him. That's the thing people don't. I don't like him. I just think he's just not that guy to take us to the level. I saw in the comments, United way as usual talking his stuff. Ollie needs to go further.
They didn't think Alex was the guy either. So they didn't think Alex was the guy.
Oh,
so,
well, to be,
that's what I'm saying, man. They never thought Alex was the guy. They never thought Mourinho was the guy. But these things happen in football, man.
Is he taking a dig at me?
I said they never thought Sir Alex was the guy, and they never thought Mourinho was the guy.
Look into the camera and look into it well. Ollie is not that guy. He will never be.
He will never
ever be that guy. Never, ever be that guy.
We'll see, man.
Well,
We'll see.
time will tell. You heard it here first. Benji saying Ollie will never take us to a title. Hopefully, he wins the Europa League and gets an A at least in it for the end of the season. Boys, I would love to continue, but like I said at the start, sadly, my phone battery's on about 4%, so I can't. Also, just want to add, Shivam, the person who's asked the question, said he will explain why he's overachieved next week. I'm interested to see how he's done
And
that,
he comes on,
especially.
he's gonna bottle it as well.
I was about to say, especially if we lose on Monday, that would be interesting chat to see how he's overachieved. Anyways, apart from that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you in the comments. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. As always, make sure you drop a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel. We post regular content with the boys and obviously a variety of different opinions as always. So yeah, apart from that, check out the boys' links in the description as always. The social media's there. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you are going to check out Benji because he's very popular, and so is Jack at the moment. Me and Kish are kind of going against the grain, but it's all good. It's all good, Kish, isn't it?
It's all good, man. Come on,
yes.
Yeah,
we'd love to see it, but honestly, Clash Show boys will be back. I'm not really sure when we'll be back. It might probably Saturday for the preview. Apart from that, it's been your boy Usmaan. Come on, United!
Come on, Ollie.
Ollie's at the wheel.
that was so sarcastic.
Peace.